morning. My name is K.K. Muthu. Frankly, two small experiences. One, the second one was in the shape of some kind of a question to Yesho. The first is, I don't know how relevant, but it comes to my mind. I was working in Hero Honda Motors. Somebody rushed to me and he said कि सर फलानी जगह पे आग लगी हुई है. मैं जिस कमरे में था वहाँ पे मिस्टर इगराशी जो हमारे जॉइंट एमडी थे वो बैठे हुए थे और मैंने भागना शुरू किया. इगराशी said that I do not remember the location. I have to run with you, so please wait for half a minute. And he came out with me and we rushed to that same spot and वहाँ पर जो भी हमसे हो सकता था लोग पहले से ही पहुँचे थे. उस समय मुझे ये याद आया कि 5-6 साल पहले ऐसे ही एक किस्से में जब मैं अपने बॉस के पास बैठा था उन्होंने कहा कमल जी तुसी आगे चलो मैं पीछे पीछे आ रहा हूँ. तो ये फ़र्क है, नॉट कि हिंदुस्तानी इसमें कम है, वो लीडरशिप जो आपने कहा with a bit of commitment and humanity and all that. My question to Yesho is that when he talked about the international leader and the qualities there, and I remember my Japanese friends, when they came to India, none of them made a real effort to learn English. I was the person at GM Commercial responsible for getting high quality translators for them. Two, again, in that position, I was responsible for making sure that every week their foodstuff comes from Japan. तो पूरा जापान से जापानीज खाना आता था. उन्होंने हिंदुस्तान में हिंदुस्तानी खाने की कोशिश नहीं की. और मैं समझता हूँ कि पूरी अपनी फैमिलीज को 3 साल तक उन्होंने जापान में ही रखा. उसके बावजूद मैं कह सकता हूँ कि वो रीजनेबली सक्सेसफुल इंटरनेशनल मैनेजर्स थे. इसलिए मेरे मन में थोड़ी दुविधा सी आई कि ये तो अच्छी बात है कि वहाँ के साथ आप जुड़ जाएं जहाँ भी आप जाएं, लेकिन क्या ये बहुत ही ज़रूरी है कि खाना भी वहाँ का ही खाना है और ये कुछ भी करना है तभी जाके इंटरनेशनल मैनेजमेंट में काबिलियत आ सकती है?
I feel so because Japanese brands are globally very, very powerful brands. But India, it's a bad statement, they are not as successful. Because unless you know the whole consumer insight, if you know the whole employee insight, you will not be able to give the best. That is number one. And their best. Strength is very, very high. 3 years, they push them in different type of markets so that they get exposed to it. And he always wanted to have a cook because he could not have a food without a sambar. Every meal should be sambar. And 2 of the last countries, he didn't get the permission to take his cook. And he came back within 6 months. It became a big blot. And I think Mr. Vipin also wants to.
I have to support this absolutely. In 1982, when the 3 Honda companies came, and I worked with one of them as well on cook, ye sara normal hota tha. But they came from a position of givers and we were the position of takers. पर अब जब भी आते हैं Japanese नहीं, but at least when the Westerners come, हमारी कैंटीन में खाते हैं और अगर नहीं खाएं तो वो फिर segregate हो जाते हैं because there's immense confidence in India and the Indian team that either you fit in with us culturally, घर पे आप जो भी कीजिए, weekends में कीजिए, पर घुल मिल के हमारे साथ बसिए, नहीं तो you get ejected.
Dr. Divakar Goyal here. You see, when I talk about the topic of today's conclave, building capability for future HR challenges, as a HR professional with a 3 decades experience with the private sector and public sector, what I feel today, the biggest challenge comes how to take this young talent to the blue-collar jobs in the villages, in the mines, like you narrated some stories, Mr. Bipin, very interesting. I can visualize the amount of satisfaction and the contentment you must have got with Rusi Modi and instance of that union leaders and the counseling them and all. How to motivate this young generation? I go to the management institutes in the country and abroad also. everybody inclines to go for the white collar jobs and IT industries and other places. Why and how we can give a message to them? Your stories, like your video and all, what kind of satisfaction a HR professional gets when he goes to the plants, the project sites where the large number of workers are there. I really fail to motivate across the country in different metros the young generation to see that, enjoy the HR, what really it is with the workers, the problems, and creating a bonding to the organization. Like Rushi Modi instance is a really landmark thing. Thank you.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that is a challenge, but it's a very, very positive challenge to have the younger generation, and many of you are young. And I really let's say what Amitabh Kant, who's been given this charge of leading Make in India, is saying that can we make manufacturing fashionable once again, as it used to be 30 or 40 years ago? And how can we reach out to campuses? How can we reach out to people, young people, to motivate them to come, not only as HR professionals, but also to work on the shop floor? We are very fortunate in that sense, but I have to say we don't go to the IITs. I don't go to my alma maters at all. But we go to the regional colleges and then try and inspire them. And there are people who are willing to be committed. But yes, you're absolutely right. The stars in the eyes are completely, completely different. But if we are to grow as an industrialized nation, we need young people. So it's our duty, I can't say anything else, but our duty to constantly reinforce that to produce, at the end of the day, you need a product. Otherwise, everything else seems to be all virtual. You need a product, and that product can be a passion. But I share this thing, and we have to work at it together.
Yeah. Excuse me, I have to say one thing.
There's one more remark,
Yeah, I have to say one thing. I am Professor Rodgi, and I was earlier chairman in public sector for last 30 years in a very difficult belt of Durgapur, infested by CPM and all that. So my one problem is that I have my sons and daughter in India and abroad, and their capability in abroad where they are working in Stanford University and other places, as per the environment which they get, much rising over there. One daughter over here, they two also rising. I say that environment, our people has all the capability to achieve everything, but we don't get that environment. There are problems, and government rules and policies, when they come in between our area, that also create a big problem in their rise and other things. Maybe we have more competition, other things, but they are all talented. So different. So my question is, how to go about the constraint and policies of government which help them so that we can come at par with at US nation, other places, so that our people rise and our talent is not lost in those countries. That is the thing. That is the question, how to go about it.
One, the answer is that I don't have the answer. And therefore it depends on what we can do to bring about change in what we can control. So I cannot answer generally, but each one of us has an influence in a certain sphere, which may be our factory, our department, or the institution with which we have a linkage. And that's the way to go, because ultimately we have to grow our country. And if that passion can be aroused in some way, that we can create world-class companies which are there, which are here, give them examples, show them passion, throw them into the deep end, there will be some people who will come. Systems, procedures, etc. are a much wider issue and have to be debated separately. But always, we can do what we can control. Ma'am, but you wanted to answer the earlier question, I think.
I was just wondering whether there will be some youngsters who would like to ask something. We have a lot of seniors who are asking, but it would be nice if we have some of the youngers lot who would ask some questions also. This lady there.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to ask a question. We are a lot of young HR professionals and senior veterans are here. I wanted to ask this question and share something that we are doing. This is my perception and I might be wrong. We as an HR, because sir told about women empowerment, We as an HR are very close-minded when it comes from, hiring women who have come back from a sabbatical. It's still looked at, if a woman takes a break for 2 years for raising a kid, or 3 years break from the work life, and even if that female has top companies in her resume, it's very difficult for her to come back to a work life. How can we contribute and change that when we say and talk about women empowerment, and this perception of mine has changed over the last 8 months. Now I absolutely look forward to hire women who want to come back to job after a sabbatical of 2 to 3 years. So can we do something and change our mindset and interview more people who want to come back? They are the people who will be valuing this job. They are the people who would want to come back and make their mark. They took a break because of family reasons and to raise a child.
Right.
But we have a huge role and contribution in this. Unless our mindset changes as an HR, we'll not be able to influence the leadership to change.
So you just said that over 8 months your mindset has changed, isn't it?
Yes.
So gradually mindset is changing world over, and there is a thrust in this area, because there are certain areas where it's not possible and continuity is required, but the awareness is increasing, and I'm sure in the coming years we will find a difference, definitely.
How can we do it? How can we?
It's happening all over. You're seeing so many women-centric conferences, so many other initiatives and interventions which are happening. Then you have government policies which are coming in place. The managements are getting more conscious on it. You have a rule now saying that you have, as per Companies Act, you have to have women on the board. So there are so many initiatives which are happening, but being a woman myself, I'd like to say that you have to prove yourself also, and you should not compromise on quality, definitely. So awareness is there, and I'm sure in the coming years, it will be different. Yeah, the gentleman there, please.
Thank you. I think I can do without three of you. Wonderful ideas. I'm Sumit Chaudhary. I head a consulting company now. And I have a connect with both Yash and Vipin, though Vipin doesn't know me at all. Because I headed the HRD of Escorts at a time when it was EJCB. I worked with the likes of, late Chauhan Saab and Rakesh Chopra, who headed JCB, and had tremendous interactions, though I was in the main plant. So two things, and I was also lucky to conduct programs on teamwork, cooperation and conflict when the Y2K problem was getting, solved, 98, 99. So that way I had a connect with both. My request to both of you, of course I know Yash has been doing some work, but Vipin, to you particularly, that it's absolute music to hear from a pure technical person, with a technical qualification, the kind of things that you said. Unfortunately, you are in a minuscule minority. I mean, I'm further saying that, and HR is being demarketed all over the place by the people in the schools to begin with, and then the corporate leaders. So we need to realize that, and it is a kind of a complaint also in a good sense, that such ideas have to be propagated much more. And when it comes from people like you, it has a different impact. And when it comes from, people within HR, then it has a different impact or a less impact. So, and then there are so many myths spread about HR. Oh, HR people don't become CEOs. And this was a CHRO in the inaugural session of a conference saying that. I said, excuse me. I said, when I was at FMS, my batch size had only 4 ladies and 61 were men, and that relates to what the lady just asked, that question of, break in there, this thing.
Can you be a little brief so that
yeah,
get it
so the main thing I'm trying to say is that we don't analyze what HR does and we just make comments right, left and center. If at the entry level we check our corporates, 100 people will enter in marketing, maybe 15 in finance and 1 in HR. So at the CEO level also the ratio has to be 1:100 between marketing and HR. So where is the question of, and such great technical companies have been headed by HR people. MRR Nair, SAIL, Rajinder Singh of NTPC, Manoj Kohli was my FMS batchmate as well as DCM. So these myths, that is the key message that I want to spread, that please don't demarket HR. If you can't market, please don't demarket. And so people like you should do a little more in spreading this consciousness. Thank you very much.
As a core HR professional, I would like to be a little different. I would feel that there's nothing like marketing or demarketing HR. HR professionals have to prove themselves. And in an organization, it's very important, and this is for the youngsters, for all HR professionals to know what the business is of the company. Unless and until they know what the business is and are at center, that's the only way of coming at center stage. If we keep sitting at the periphery and wanting that we should have a place on the board, it's not going to happen. And it's the passion with which you work, it's your credibility and the faith that people have in you. Automatically, the respect and the regard for the department comes. So I'm sure if you experience this, the others will also agree with me there.
No, I have been in HR, then I was CEO. I ran LG for 5 years. I think what Dr. Sarup is saying, I agree more than 100% that. You have to understand business and have a strategic mind also. That's it.
My name is R.P. Lahiri. I will ask a very pointed question. I know I read yesterday that our young generations, small child and towards all ages, we are becoming more stunted. We are all becoming more anemic and things like this. I had attended a few days back international seminar jointly by Florida University and NITI and other things. I asked a Chinese professor working in USA, what is the difference between your and ours, so that you are, since 1980 onwards, you are going up and up, we are not going that way. Are we intellectually less or you are knowledgeable less thing and all that? He said, no, Indians are very intelligent, they're highly knowledgeable. Then what is the wrong with us, shortcoming with us? He says policy decisions. Now, my questions to you is, what the policy should be, taking 126 crore as one team, it's not as one unit. What policy should be there so that our people are strong? 2020, if it is we are the youngest, will be the strongest nation. And our education should be such, our everything should be such, what policy should be taken so that we become really worthy of leading the world instead of, getting so much in poverty and in disease and other educational downwards and other things. What should be the basic HR policy across the India? Thank you.
I have dealt with global societies, Americans, Koreans, Chinese, very, very closely, and Indians. And I think we have to look at ourselves. If I compare us to a lot of others, an average Indian national character, more than policy will remain, it is not in our hand. As Mr. Vipin said, let us not bother, it is in somebody else's hand. But if we take our typical average Indian national character, the one positive which we are very intelligent, average Indian, analytically, conceptually. The problem with us is we are very argumentative, we are very poor in execution, we are very creative about others' jobs, not our job, etc., etc. Let us look at that. You get a strong, tough job, first thing, Hobena. We have to take it as a challenge. I think a lot of things will improve on ourselves. Execution. You have to see the execution of Japanese, Koreans, Americans in their pace. You will be amazed at the quality and the speed of execution. Amazed.
Well, it's really a question for the Prime Minister of India. It's broadly a question that you've asked is, and I think we can do what we can do, which is execute, execute, execute. And the ability to stand by conviction. I think, and people have shown it, it can be done in India against completely adverse circumstances, which is why it's easier for us to succeed overseas. But it is about execution and having belief that we can execute. But we must have that belief, and each one of us must have that belief that we can do it.
Due to shortage of time, We are about to finish our question and answer.
One last question.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Sir, I'm Avinash Bhamra. I'm heading GMC Projects Kalpatru Group, and I belong to a beautiful place called Jamshedpur. Sir, I've got two questions, very simple questions. Number one, how to build integrity among employees? Second, how to make employees love their work?
It's a very tough thing to say in a simple way, but 2-3 beliefs I can share. I believe 10 to 15% employees in every organization are highly integrity driven. 3 to 4% in whatever circumstances, no. Rest are all bench sitter. What is your rule? How much they can flout and you allow it? They'll just go to that. So the more firmer you're overtly and covertly, the more you do it, I think it is very important. Creating passion, I think, okay, all other things are training, etc., my inclination, empowerment with accountability. Without accountability, there's nothing. Empowerment is one of the very powerful tools, but you have to be held accountable for right and wrong. I think these two simply said, but they have.
Just finish, all three of us.
It's a very interesting question. In fact, what I feel is that every employee brings, please sit, please take your seat. Every employee brings in their own values from their families and their upbringing, and every organization should have their own value systems also. So it's gelling between the two, and it's the culture of the organization. So it's how the leadership is and how the culture is and how we develop them from day one, that it plays a major role. And I think every organization would be conscious on that. And about ownership, I would say yes, in today's generation and millennials, it's not so easy. But at the same time, I feel from my own experience, like I am from EIL, and which is a knowledge-based company, and it can easily be a launchpad for various other organizations, because being a public sector company, definitely we are having our hands tied where salaries are concerned and compensation, and yet our attrition is about 3%, which is not bad. So how is it? Probably, as he rightly said, you do give them the responsibilities, accountability, and I also feel that the moment the youngsters are made to see the big picture and where they stand in that, and so you have to speak to them, you have to keep communicating with them, and that's what I'm continuously doing all the while, visiting sites, because I always feel that the deliverables are there, and it's very important for the organization to realize how important a site is. So once you visit there, you meet them, you talk to them, make them understand that in results for the company, what each individual's contribution is. Once they realize that, it makes a difference. The passion does come in. I will not say I'm 100% successful, but I find the success rate is improving.
May I add, ma'am, something?
Just finish, I'll just add to that and then after you. Number one, value system to be driven by the Chief Executive Officer and the senior leadership team. No compromise, zero tolerance. Absolute zero tolerance, okay? So on value system, it has to be straight, quick, and you just close the issue immediately, okay? That sends a message for all times to come. Once you compromise, 20 years gone, literally. The second is passion, is always about throwing youngsters into the deep end and supporting them. Empowerment, supporting them, but encouraging failure when somebody has tried. Please reward failure. Please not punish, but discourage people who don't try. But that again has to be publicly demonstrated. When somebody has tried and failed, no harm in actually recognizing that person on family day or any other day in front of everybody else. Yes.
I think, Professor in Bharati Vidyapeeth, transparency and 360-degree performance appraisal, I think this is the right answer for your question. 360-degree परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल एंड ट्रांसपेरेंसी फ्रॉम द एम्प्लायर, दो चीज़ें अगर होती हैं तो एम्प्लॉइज़ के अंदर जो है वो इनकरेजमेंट भी होता है, मोटिवेट भी होता है और ऑनेस्ट होता है वो अपने जॉब के लिए. आई थिंक मेरे समझ से ये बात समझ में आती है. कि ट्रांसपेरेंसी हो एम्प्लॉयर की तरफ से और 360 डिग्री अप्रेजल हो कि जो अप्रेजल कर रहा है हमारा वो उस लायक है कि नहीं और उसके बाद वो रिपोर्ट करें। तो मेरे समझ से जो मैं समझता हूँ ये होना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
खाना कुछ भी नहीं होगा।
Thank you, everyone. Now we would like to present mementos to all the dignitaries as a token of love and appreciation.
Now I request Ms. Neena Malhotra, past President DMA, to present memento to Ms. Veena Sarup.
I request Dr. Ekta Saxena to present memento to Dr. Yashovi Verma.
And at last, I request Mr. Rajan Pandhi, Director DMA, to present memento to our Chief Guest, Mr. Vipin Sondhi. Sir.
We would like to inform you all about top 3 case study presentations and award ceremony at 5 p.m. We request you all to kindly stay with us. With this, we have come to the end of first session of the 7th Mega HR Conclave. Now, I would request you all to join for tea at the dining area, and we start our next session at the 11:30 p.m. a.m. sharp. Thank you.
Before we break for the tea, a small, big round of applause to all our esteemed panelists. And a special thanks to Ms. Veena Sarup, Director HR for Engineers Limited, to lead this program as Program Director. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Verma and Mr. Vipin Sondhi. Thanks a lot. We welcome you all in the second session on navigating the new HR landscape. In this session, we have our esteemed panelists, Mr. Ashish Arora, Mr. Jacob, Mr. Kaushik Chakraborty, Mr. Dipan Singh Sharma, and Mr. Sandeep Tyagi. I invite you all to please join the dais.